And welcome to College Football Summer School, Morse and Jenkins edition. My name is Aaron Morse, joined by Joe Jenkins here, discussing some of the hot topics in college football. Fall camps have opened up around the country, Joe. Let's get your perspective on this. What are some of the storylines, maybe top three storylines for you going into fall camps that you are most looking forward to, seeing if they get resolved or not, perhaps?
Sure, yeah, man. We'll get the non-football storyline out of the way immediately. Really want to talk about football, but I think we're remiss if we don't talk about wanting to see this whole Joe Mixon at Oklahoma and the punching of a girl in a restaurant and breaking 4 bones in her face. I see how that gets resolved, especially in light of what happened with Ray Rice. I'm really interested, not so much that it gets resolved, how it gets resolved. You know, after the backlash we saw with Ray Rice, how long is this kid going to get suspended for? If he did in fact do it. We shouldn't put guilt on him yet, but if he did do it, I'm interested to see how Oklahoma and Coach Stoops handles this in light of what happened with Ray Rice and what the court of public opinion kind of felt about that. So, that's the non-football storyline. I think the big ones I really want to look at football-wise is, this Jacob Cocker guy and what he's going to do at Alabama. Saban is saying that he may not have won the job yet, and that Blake Sims has been playing pretty well, and so who knows? And Saban doesn't really care if you're the prototypical NFL quarterback. He's won a lot of games and a couple national championships with quarterbacks that a lot of people didn't think too much of. So I think that one will be interesting, and I think there's a lot of questions going on at the University of Michigan right now that I'd like to see. Brady Hoke has more or less come out and said that Devin Gardner is going to be the starting quarterback at this point. So my question is how quickly does he adapt to this new offense that Doug Nussmeier is bringing in, and how he's going to adapt to that? How quickly the entire offense takes shape with it. And I'm also interested to see how Brady Hoke coaches with this team, because I got to imagine that with the regression they've had over the last couple of years, he's got to start feeling the pressure pretty soon. I don't imagine that he sticks around much longer. And then, just to sum the Michigan thing up, this won't be in fall camp, but do we have another App State on our hands? They're playing them again. It's going to be at the Big House. Are we going to see another huge upset?
Well, that would be very interesting. Yeah, back in 2007, of course, Imani Edwards led Appalachian State to that legendary upset. The first ever game on the Big Ten Network, by the way. What a way to kick off that network. And that's, gosh, I was a sophomore in college back then. That takes me back. But, yeah, that was a crazy game. And, by the way to start this hangout on a downer, by the way, with the Oklahoma story. Thanks for that. But I think in terms of Alabama, their quarterbacks before the transfer there from Florida State looked terrible in the spring game. Everyone's like, oh, okay, well, we'll be fine. And now Saban's saying maybe not. I mean, that's interesting. That kind of leads me into my second question for you, Joe, here as we talk about some of the hot topics. The SEC and the quarterback situation in general. Yeah, there's Nick Marshall at Auburn. Okay, Matty Mock at Missouri's pretty good. Bo Wallace at Ole Miss. And then there's not much else, really. Not much proven. What do you think about the SEC in terms of their quarterback situation? Are they still number one?
Yeah. I mean, as a conference, they're still number one, man. I mean, quarterback play was never what put this conference on top to begin with. It was a conference that was predicated on defense, being faster than everybody else, and having faster, more athletic people at the skill positions like wide receiver and running back. That's always been their bread and butter. That's what Alabama's always done. The gap's closed a lot, I think. I think the Pac-12 is a lot closer. I think if you look at the teams at the top of each conference, they're closer to the SEC than. But if you're talking top to bottom in the conference, once you get past Stanford, Oregon, possibly UCLA this year, and maybe next year USC, there's not a lot there in the Pac-12. You can pretty much go top to bottom in the SEC in both divisions, and there's some quality there.
Yeah, there's quality, but we'll see if they can pass the football at all. I mean, it'll be interesting. LSU's got a great freshman running back, apparently, so that'll be very interesting as well. But looking at the Big 12 now, one area we haven't covered yet, Texas. Charlie Strong's been in, like, every publication lately. Like, everywhere I look, there he is, talking about Charlie Strong coming to Texas. I know Texas is the big deal, and, it's a new era for them. What do you think about Charlie Strong, expectations for him this year, and is Texas going to improve, you think?
It's going to be tough for him to improve. I'm not sure that the record's going to show it to start the season. They've got a tough opening schedule. Their first 6 games are North Texas, which should be a win. But then they go against BYU, who ran all over him last year, UCLA, and Baylor, and then Oklahoma. I mean, if Charlie gets out of that 3-3, he's lucky. I would say that that's a good run. I think that's successful. So it may not look like it at first. The schedule lightens up after that. But he is doing all the right things to, sort of bring swagger back to Texas. He's making the players earn the decals on their helmets and all that kind of stuff. And the one thing I think is pretty interesting is, and maybe this is a storyline we should have talked about coming out of fall camp, is Charlie Strong going to be able to field a team? This guy suspended 7 players since he took over as the coach, and he's
making a statement.
He's dismissed 7 players and suspended another 3. Some of them are starters. He's sticking to his guns, which is really cool, but it's also really easy to do in season 1 when you're in the honeymoon. I'd be interested to see how he would handle these players if he was, 5 years in and didn't have a 10-win season under his belt.
Yeah, he definitely is known for his discipline and showing it right away there at Texas. All right, Joe Jenkins, thanks so much. It's been another edition of College Football Summer School. We're getting close to the fall, though, and that is the real season kicking off in about a month, really. So it should be a lot of fun. Joe, thanks so much.
Thanks, man.
Aaron Morse with Football.com signing off. Tune in next time.